Welcome, everybody, to another Paranormal Highway. In a minute, I'm going to be playing the intro, and then I'm going to have Ron and Anthony come up, and we're going to discuss about how we felt when. Oh, my thought. Hold on. Okay, we're going to discuss about what we felt about the U.S. UFO conference yesterday. And the thing is, there's no right or wrong in this. And the reason I'm coming up real quick because I want everybody to understand that everybody has different opinions on what they saw yesterday. Some are good, some people liked it, some people hate it. And there's no wrong or right answer on how you felt about what you saw yesterday. So when you talk in the chat, if you disagree with somebody's opinion, it's all right to disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. Just be cool, be polite, because I know I watch a lot of channels after yesterday, and there's a lot of channels that were angry, they were mad. And this channel here is not about being angry or mad. We're going to have a cool, honest conversation and what we thought. Ron is here today, and I don't even know what Ron thought of the UFO conference. Never even spoke to him about it. So I'm curious on his opinion. So like I said, everything we're going to talk today is all an opinion. So beyond that, I'm going to hit the intro and then I'll bring everybody up.
Yo, Eric, we're over here on the Paranormal Hunt, and I headed over to this other building, and it's number 13. I was just telling Ron, my God. Now, I'm sure, Ron, I know Anthony and I were live I'm sure you watched it, right?
I didn't watch the entire thing. I watched when you guys were on. I came in I was there for about 10 minutes. Then I had to run out, but then I came back, but I wasn't chatting. I put it on. I was listening like that, in and out of it. So I didn't take in the entire thing, but there was like some points
so we're all going to give,
like,
and we'll all give our opinion, what we did see of it. And I wanted to wait the next day, after Anthony has, going through his thoughts. I go through my thoughts, watching other channels talk about it.
Are you going to play any clips from it?
You know what? I did not have any clips. I didn't even think about that. Are those clips if somebody plays those clips, are those kind of clips that are like
public domain?
Copyright?
Yeah, no, it's public domain. You know what I'll do, Eric? I'll pull up from my show yesterday where they were talking, and I'll fast forward it to the point where he's showing you
the good point. Part of the problem about watching something like this is expectations, right? Everybody has high expectations, right? For example, like Obi-Wan Kenobi movies coming out Disney Plus. I had the highest expectations for the show, and when I watched it, I thought it was crap. I thought I was so disappointed. But part of the problem is I put such a high expectations. I wanted to be what I wanted to be. I wanted to see the kung fu story where the man walks the desert, solves problems, not really using his powers because he can't. And then when I didn't get that, I was angry. But is that their fault or is that my fault? So when I was watching it, the first thing I noticed when Anthony and I were chatting, watching it live, I was saying this is more of how the procedures work type of a conference. Like, this is why you guys giving us the budget. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. We got 655 files. We take the data, we separate it on what we know, what they are, what we don't know, and it only shows you two of the files. One that's they recognize what it is, and one that they don't. So to me, it seemed like it was more of a, this is why you want to fund us. This is why you want us to continue. And if you really seriously think about it, it's not a bad organization to fund, because I know we think of it as they're looking for aliens. Technically, they're just looking for anything that's unidentified flying objects in our airspace that's not supposed to be there.
They really spoke a lot on
is it Russia, China, what kind of technology. So it's not, Arrow is not a bad idea. I just think sometimes, Anthony and Ron, people think of it as alien hunters.
They spoke a lot about quadcopters and stuff though yesterday, that they were interested in drones, quadcopters, and then he speculated that they would push more of the stuff that it would be other people's problems, really not their own, if they weren't interested in it. And I was a little confused and taken back by that, but the footage that they showed us yesterday, that interested me the most, because when they discussed those two cases, I felt like he was given a little jab. Dr. Kirkpatrick was given a little jab to Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Corbell, because they showed the Mosul orb footage, and they had speculated that that was not a UFO, that it was most likely a drone or a quadcopter. And then he also said, when I think he gave a little jab to Elizondo, he said that there was no alien life out there that they have found yet. And
would you be able to play that part, Anthony?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to put you through crap.
I don't know the exact part that it is, but I have loaded here the Mosul orb part.
That's the one I want to see.
It's got to be like right here. So let me just kick it back just a little bit to where he's speaking, and we'll let it go from here.
You're gonna show up. I know you to show up, but that is kind of a weird comment, because you're not really looking for alien life here. You're just looking for explaining on why things are in our airspace.
Yeah.
Versus alien life.
I think they did that because Lou Elizondo constantly going around saying that there's alien life out there and all this stuff. And then you got Jeremy Corbell working the circuit now with this Mosul orb thing. So I think Kirkpatrick wanted to make a point that, hey, look, you could be saying whatever you want, but we have the evidence and the data to back up that it's not what you guys are saying. This is what we have right now. This is the data. And I think that's the point he was trying to make with it.
And when you think about it, remember, because this is something I was telling you when I read it. Remember when we go back to the whole balloon debacle?
Yeah.
Right, a month or so ago. And I remember when they finally gave a briefing, that reporters got to ask them questions. Somebody asked, is Arrow involved? Because they were labeling, the media was saying UFOs, this and that. And weirdly, they weren't. It was the FBI.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so a taxpayer funded office, Arrow, and they keep asking for money. But when it comes to unidentified aerial phenomena, they're not they don't investigate that.
I know. Isn't that strange? They should be investigating that.
Wasn't
That's
this discussed?
A whole purpose for the program, no?
Wasn't that discussed yesterday when he talked about certain securities they don't have that they're trying to get? Would that be what he's looking for, to have that security to combine those departments?
Basically, what they were saying yesterday was that they needed more funding if they want them to do, because basically right now they have 650 pieces of footage. With the team that they have in place right now, they were only able to dive into about 150 of those cases, and they were able to figure out that 150 of them were like balloons and trash in the sky and things they can explain. The other 400 and so or so objects that they have, they still need to investigate further. They just don't have the manpower. So they were looking for more funding for manpower and equipment and all that stuff. That's basically what this whole thing was about yesterday.
Yeah, because the government conferences, they're set up for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're not always about pounding for every single file that they have. This one was more about funding for the budgets and all that. I would say yesterday will not be a bust depending on when they go back for a third time, when they do another UFO conference. That's the one where that's where they should explain more of their findings. So if they don't, then I would say it's a donkey show. But I won't say it's a donkey show if it leads up to more information. They're getting the funds.
Again, here's what aggravated me yesterday. The two pieces of footage that they started to show, the Mosul orb, and they showed you another clip of an object in the sky next to a drone, which ended up being the shadow, the heat signature from the actual aircraft in the sky on infrared. So you were getting a double target because it was basically a heat shadow that you were seeing in infrared, right? But when you see that and you see there's the plane there, and then you see another object next to it that's not supposed to be there, automatically you're assuming, okay, that target's an unidentified flying object. But then they figured out that it was a heat signature being picked up on the infrared. So that target really wasn't there. But these two pieces they showed us yesterday were crap. I thought he was going to get into it with those and not then start showing, some more elaborate pieces of footage that they have to prove that there's really, unidentified flying objects out there that they can't classify. They can't point their finger and say, this is what it is. But they didn't do that. And that really aggravated me. If you're asking for funding, prove why you need the funding. Show them, hey, look, here's a bona fide, unidentified flying object. It's not a drone. It's not any of our adversaries. We can't figure out what it is and where it comes from. And this is why we need new equipment, more manpower, and more funding. But they didn't do that.
No, because it seemed like everybody who was speaking to that guy was all nice. It seemed like they're all happy with the answers he was giving. You know what I mean? It was more handshakes than questioning, like deep questioning.
Senator Gillibrand was the star of the show, really, right, Ron?
Yeah, it was just like the UAP report, if that's what you want to call it, the second one, that it was all them giving each other accolades, like, yeah, shout outs to thanks for the collaboration of these offices and these offices. Mm-hmm. And then the next paragraph, they said the same thing. They changed it around a little bit and added more. And they only spoke about actual UAP stuff like in a little paragraph, and it was nothing.
Yep.
So yesterday, I thought from what I heard of the thing, me personally, I looked at it as a nothing burger.
Me too.
That's how I looked at it.
Agreed. Again, like I said before, I really took that he gave a jab to Elizondo and Corbell so much that I even went and I made a thumbnail for it, because that's exactly what he was saying yesterday. Sorry, Lou, but there's no proof of aliens, and sorry, Corbell, the Mosul orb is not a UFO. And he made that a valid point, and I'm pretty sure I'm at the point now where he's going to start talking about that. If you want me to let it go and play.
Yeah, that's the clip.
Okay.
So, guys, in the chat, this is part. If you haven't watched it, this is part of yesterday's conference. So This is what we saw yesterday.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals. AARO is working very hard to do the same. That is how science works, not by blog or social media. We know that there is tremendous public interest in UAP and a desire for answers from AARO. By its very nature, the UAP challenge has for decades lent itself to mystery, sensationalism, and even conspiracy. For that reason, AARO remains committed to transparency, accountability, and to sharing as much with the American public as we can, consistent with our obligation to protect not only intelligence sources and methods, but U.S. and allied capabilities. However, ARROW's work will take time if we are committed to do it right. It means adhering to the scientific method and the highest standards of research integrity. It means being methodical and scrupulous. It means withholding judgment in favor of evidence. It means following the data where it leads, wherever it leads. It means establishing scientific peer-reviewed theoretical underpinnings of observed data. And ARROW is committed to all of those standards. I'm proud of ARROW's progress over the last 9 months. Much remains to be done, but the hard work is underway. Thank you for your continued support. And before we turn to questions, I'm going to walk you through some of our analytical trends in a couple of cases that we've prepared.
This is the first case, the Mosul orb.
Oh, before you start, pause it for
So
a
one
second.
of the things that ARROW does
Pause
is...
it 1 second. 'Cause I want to, Ron, do you know if this was a subcommittee or a full committee hearing? Does anybody know what kind of hearing this kind of was?
Yeah, it's the subcommittee. Okay, so this is a small part of the government, like Senator Gillibrand and the people that are involved with the aerospace threat identification program people. That's who was there for this yesterday. The whole United States Congress wasn't there for this, just a small group of people. So I guess you could call it a subcommittee on threat identification, the space threat identification.
Okay, and right before you press play, even if they saw, say they found evidence of alien life, I don't think this would be the hearing they would even bring that out. My opinion. Like if they had something, I don't think they would bring it out in a hearing where it's more about asking for more money. My opinion.
I don't think if they had that kind of evidence, they would pretty much ever tell you, unless you really had to be told.
I agree with you 100%. So you can show the other 2 clips now. I just
All
want
right.
to throw that out there.
High integrity analysis, as I've said. This chart represents the trend analysis of all the cases in ARROW's holdings, right, to date. What you'll see on the left is a histogram of all of our reported sightings as a function of altitude. So most of our sightings occur in the 15 to 25,000 foot range. And that is ultimately because that's where a lot of our aircraft are. On the far right upper corner, you'll see a breakout of the morphologies of all of the UAP that are reported. Over half, about 52% of what's been reported to us are round orb spheres. The rest of those break out into all kinds of different other shapes. The gray box is essentially there's no data on what its shape is. Either it wasn't reported or the sensor did not collect it. The bottom map is a heat map of all reporting areas across the globe that we have available to us. What you'll notice is that there is a heavy, what we call collection bias, both in altitude and in geographic location. That's where all of our sensors exist. That's where our training ranges are. That's where our operational ranges are. That's where all of our platforms are. In the middle, what we have done is reduce the most typically reported UAP characteristics to these fields, mostly round, mostly 1 to 4 meters, white, silver, translucent, metallic, 10,000 to 30,000 feet, with apparent velocities from stationary to Mach 2. No thermal exhausts usually detected. We get intermittent radar returns. We get intermittent radio returns, and we get intermittent thermal signatures. That's what we're looking for and trying to understand what that is. Next slide. So I'm going to walk you through 2 cases that we've declassified recently. This first one is an MQ-9 in the Middle East, observing that blow up, which is an apparent spherical object via EO sensors. Those are not IR. If you want to go ahead and click that and play it, you'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it. You'll see it pop in and out of the field of view there. This is essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago. It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video. Now, what we can do and what we are doing is keeping that as part of that group of 52% to see what are the similarities, what are the trends across all these, do we see these in a particular distribution, do they all behave the same or not? As we get more data, we will be able to go back and look at these in a fuller context. How are we going to get more data? We are working with the Joint Staff to issue guidance to all the services and commands that will then establish what are the reporting requirements, the timeliness, and all of the data that is required to be delivered to us and retained from all of the associated sensors. That historically hasn't been the case, and it's been happenstance that data has been collected. Next slide. This particular event, South Asia MQ9, looking at another MQ9, and what's highlighted there in that red circle is an object that flies through the screen. Unlike the previous one, this one actually shows some really interesting things that everyone thought was truly anomalous to start with. First of all, it's a high-speed object that's flying in the field of regard of 2 MQ9s. Second, it appears to have this trail behind it, all right, which at first blush, you would think that looks like a propulsion trail. In reality, if you want to play the first slide, we'll show you what that looks like in real time, or first video. So we're looking at that. There it goes. Why don't you play it again and then pause it halfway through? Right there. All right, if you might be able to see that trail there behind it. That's actually not a real trail. That is a sensor artifact. Each one of those little blobs is actually a representation of the object as it's moving through. And later in the video, as the camera slews, that trail actually follows the direction of the camera, not the direction of the object.
Camera artifact.
We pulled these apart frame by frame. We were able to demonstrate that that is essentially a readout overlap of the image. It's a shadow image, right? It's not real. Further, if you later follow this all the way to end, it starts to resolve itself into that blob that's in that picture in the top left, right? And if you squint, it looks like an aircraft because it actually turns out to be an aircraft. Go ahead and put that on. So you'll see the tail sort of pop out there. And so what you're looking at is, this is in the infrared, this is the heat signature off of the engines of a commuter aircraft that happened to be flying in the vicinity of where those 2 MQ9s were at. Why am I showing you this? So the first one that I showed you, we don't have resolved yet.
Phantom image, see, Ron?
That is an unresolved case we are still studying. This one we can resolve. But this is the kind of data that we have to work with and the type of analysis that we have to do, which can be quite extensive when you have to pull these apart frame by frame. Further, we're now matching all of this with the models of all of those imaging sensors so that I can say, I can recreate this. I can actually show how the sensor is going to respond. All of these sensors don't necessarily respond the way you think they do, especially out in the world and in the field.
No.
And I believe that's all I have, and I will open it up for your questions.
Want to leave it or?
Thank you so much,
Yeah, we can pause
Dr.
it for a second.
Kirkpatrick.
Okay.
Can you just give us?
I mean, the way that he explains on how something is, was that like if you guys, you follow trying to debunk stuff yourself. Was he explaining it the way you guys would try to debunk something to find out the truth?
100%. And I'm so glad he did that. And I'm sure Ron's going to agree. Because how many times do we film things in infrared and you can have one object in the sky going and there could be a plane somewhere else, there could be a drone somewhere else, even a balloon, anything that can absorb heat. And now he's telling you that the infrared can pick up the heat signature from another object and make a phantom object appear next to it to look like two targets. Okay, knowing that is a game changer. Prior to the hearing, I did not know that. Now
it looks like, and I got to relaunch because something. Look at me with StreamYard. Look at this. Look at this. I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Sorry.
So in some aspects of the conference, it was nice to hear how they're debunking it and some of the things they are seeing. Is it, you think, Anthony, is it just we wanted to see more files of doing that technique? Not just with one and one, maybe like an example of 5 different ones or something.
Yeah, I wanted to see at least 5-6 pieces of footage. I wanted him to show me the orb. I wanted him to show me a phantom target like he did. I wanted to see an actual target. I wanted to see what a quadcopter looked like to them, and I would have liked to see what a balloon image looked like to them, and I would have also liked to see it from how their jets are recording it, how it looks to our jets and our pilots. So I would have liked to see at least 6 different targets so we could get a wide variety of different objects, and we can ascertain from there what everything's supposed to look like and how they're discerning what's what.
Now, let me ask you a question, Ant.
Mm-hmm.
So when they showed that, I really want to see that Mosul one. So that's the one that, remember when Corbell and Knapp launched their podcast, their YouTube thing, and so that's how they kicked it off.
Yep.
And like, did they, meaning Corbell and Knapp, did they ever, because they teased that they had the footage, did they ever show that whole footage?
No.
Or is that the first time they showed it?
First time it was ever shown.
Yes.
They only showed a photo of a still image of that orb. Okay. And it was such a bad image. People were actually saying that could be a puddle that somebody took an image screenshot from Google.
That's what I thought it was.
Or something like, how do it? And they were trying to say, well, what were they saying? Like some whistleblower gave it to them from the government and it's a real UFO. It's a real target moving. That's real. It really happened in Mosul. That's real.
Yeah.
But as far as it being of alien origin, no. They believe it to be a quadcopter. And they believe it to be that it could be either from China or Russia. They believe they have these drone capabilities now, these spy drones that they're using that are in that shape, that orb shape, allegedly. That's what they think they are. They don't think they're of extraterrestrial origin.
Now, do you wonder? Because a lot of people, they look at these conferences like that. They think all day they're just going to spin it on this. But before that UFO, they were in session about the Ukraine stuff.
Yeah, and we went an hour and 16 minutes
over into 10 a.m. It went over, and I'm wondering. I'm just saying, maybe they had more, but they're like, you know what? We already wasted an extra hour on Ukraine. And no offense to the UFO people, this is not as important as Ukraine or some other things. Because after the UFO one, they continue with other subjects, not just UFOs. But I'm just wondering if they didn't consider UFO as important as Ukraine or other, so he didn't have the opportunity to show more files. I don't know. I don't know.
Here's my thought on that, Eric. And it's a great question, but I look at it like this. That was an open hearing to the general public yesterday. So I feel that in the open hearing session where we're all going to watch it and we're all going to broadcast this in the UFO community, they gave us nothing. They gave us a little bit. And the most important thing that he did there, Kirkpatrick, like I said, was give a little jab to Corbell with the Mosul footage. And he gave a little jab to Elizondo, because before he got to the Mosul video, that was the first time it was shown to anyone in the community, right? He said that there was no proof of alien extraterrestrial life out there. And that's where the jab comes into Elizondo, because he's preaching that he was told by the government that there's extraterrestrial life, that ghosts, I can't remember his exact terminology. Paranormal and ghosts and this and that. So that was the jab to Elizondo, and then showing the full video, and explaining that it was a drone was the jab to Corbell, basically to say, hey, shut your mouths, you're wrong, you're throwing a lot of bullshit out into the community, and we're gonna spit it back in your face and show you that you're wrong, and this is how. So those were the only 2 videos that they showed the government. Pretty funny.
That was always planned, just 2 videos, even though it ran late. Maybe they
I
shortened it.
think when they have the closed hearing session, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow.
They actually had it before the public hearing.
Oh, okay. So
they did it prior to the public. They did a classified one, and then they came out.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the real information was laid out in the closed session.
Well, that's where, you know what? But I still don't think they're telling them, oh, aliens, anything.
Oh, no way.
But that's where they'll hear that, like, okay, so this was something we believe from China, and this look, and it's from our adversary, and they'll show them shapes and some more info. To us, we just get some shadows and shiny balls. That's it. You know what I mean? And
did we honestly think they were going to tell us more?
Never.
You know what I mean? I mean, did we really? Did somebody in the UFO community really think they're going to come out and say, "We found this. We found this. We don't know what this is. We saw."
There are people that think that's going to happen, but it's not.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm glad Congress is talking about it. I'm glad they have an open and closed hearings about it. The discussion is on the floor. It's happening, but we're never going to get to hear the important stuff. It's never going to happen. What I would like to see, like I was saying yesterday, I would like them to start taking real good bona fide footage from regular civilians that there's multiple witnesses to it. There's multiple cameras that have, footage of the same target. And I would like to see Congress dissect some of those pieces of footage from regular civilians. We're not there yet. Right now, they're just doing all in-house unidentified aerial phenomenon targets.
Yes, you're right. Good point. This
Maybe
is
when
only
they get
military and pilots.
When they get more funding, they'll broaden their horizons with that. Because there's a lot more than 650 sightings. There's tens of thousands of sightings.
Yes. Yeah, because they didn't even touch the public sector. This is just pilots and military.
Am I wrong, guys? You can't base your whole determination on is there extraterrestrial life out there when you're just looking at American government footage. There's countries all over the world that have militaries that take footage of these things, and there's billions of civilians that take footage of these things. So I think they need to get the best of the best footage, like I said, that has multiple witnesses, multiple camera angles of the same object, and then look through all that footage and ascertain what's what. Until they do that, I'm not completely sold that there's no.
I just don't like the whole, when it comes to, let's say, off-world, how these governments and everybody like they believe they're the gatekeepers, because let's say some alien entity or life or whatever came here, it's going to affect the human race. All of us have to deal with that.
Everything.
You know what I'm saying? So then why are they the gatekeepers that, like, anything that, like, I understand the whole adversary thing with national security and not giving up our methods and all. I understand that. But not everything falls to national security. And, they need to do that. They need to have just like when they do the UN crap and they all talk, they need to create a international roundtable of data like that. Just how they're trying to collect data with Arrow, they need to have a central repository for all that.
And I was also thinking yesterday, Ron, maybe, just maybe, there's a chance. Okay, so Kirkpatrick's saying there's no off-world extraterrestrial life that we know of right now. Now, if he ixnays the off-world part and he's got the whole world thinking that there's no aliens off-world, how do we know that there's no aliens in a parallel dimension or multiverse? Because we know that there's 11 different parallel dimensions.
But I don't believe him. I mean, that's just what he believes he knows.
And he's only discerning that from American military footage.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And only what he's been told and shown.
Right.
like he's not the highest of the high. Like this,
What I'm saying.
So
I take that with a grain of salt, what was said yesterday.
Yeah, I don't believe anything. I mean, I believe certain things they show us and what they're talking about. That's common sense wise, but and then you got to hear what he's saying. He's saying there's no alien that we know of yet. You know what I mean? He's not dismissing and just saying, nope, there's no alien life, because he can't say that.
I took that like this. There's no alien life out of the 150 clips that we looked through yet. Out of the 650 we got to look at. And that's just from us, the military. Yes. That's not worldwide, globally. And we didn't even get civilian life yet.
Only going to, I believe, 2004, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those clips that they gotten from the original UAP report, right? From there.
Oh, that was the last hearing.
No, the last hearing, that's when they went up more. At the first one, I think they had 144 or something like that.
Right, that's right. Exactly, 140.
And there was more that they didn't add to the first one that they included in the second one, along with the original 144, that they had like 579 or something to that effect.
But when was that Mosul orb filmed, that photo? That's recent, but was that from back in the day, that image?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when that's filmed, but what I'm getting at is what they've been showing us of those reports go back to 2004. There's not anything before that yet.
Yeah.
So they're showing us, telling us this is what they have, 600, 700 reports, but that's majority. That's from military.
Right.
That's not even considering the people's footage and everything.
You know what I was waiting for yesterday, Ron? I was waiting for Kirkpatrick to say, and not for nothing, Jeremy Corbell showed these pyramid photos with the Snoopy teams. Here's the actual footage like we showed, because Ron did a FOIA request, and I speak about it all the time, that shows you another ship out there in the ocean that's literally launching these quadcopter drones, and you literally hear the Snoopy team saying, acting in accordance to professional manner, this is a real-world exercise, yada, yada, yada. You heard all that, but when Corbell showed you that, he muted all that.
He muted it. Yeah.
And the effect that you were getting of the camera showing the pyramid was called bokeh. It's a triangular shape inside the camera lens that when you overexpose it, it makes the object in the sky look triangular. I mean, everything that guy's showing you is nonsense. That's what it is. And he's making a fortune doing it. And George Knapp's helping him because he's the big name in the UFO community.
That's why I was happy when they just showed that Mosul video.
One? Oh man.
Because they've been holding out. They've been teasing that they have the footage. So I'm glad they showed it first. So they just took the whammy out of it for them.
Thank you, Ron. That's exactly what I'm told. They took the sail right out of their wings. And I'm glad.
That's why I went like this.
It needed to happen.
I agree. And the thing is, no matter what, there'll be people still gonna follow and just call you a a-hole and all this stuff.
Listen,
like if you say something against Doorbell,
right? You're gonna have people that turn around and say, "Well, that's the cabal, and this is what they do, and this is how." No. That's no.
Guys, that's why I'm sad that I'm glad there's people like yourselves. I'm not trying to promote channels, people, but I'm glad to have Ron's channel and Anthony's channel, because if you don't know, people in the chat, Fox News just settled out of court for $743 billion. Million, not billion, $743 million, because they knew they lied and executives knew they were lying, and they kept it going because they were wanting ratings and they were wanting all that. And why that's important to this is Jerry Corbell, he's part of the news network that goes on these networks, and they're going to push him more because of ratings. And you think Fox News the only one that does it? They just got caught. They got caught because executives were texting saying, we know we're lying about this, but keep it going because people are coming to our channel.
Yeah, the ratings are going up.
So you can't go to the news channels, and you're not getting enough from the UFO conference. This is the frustrating part.
This is what I was talking about a few days ago, Eric.
Where do you go?
10 years ago, you didn't have anybody on mainstream media doing the UFO talks unless, somebody caught a piece of footage that was really good, and even then they would laugh about it. Today, people are coming out of the woodwork. Paul Giamatti, a famous actor that's on the TV show Billions, he just started his own podcast called Chinwag about UFOs. I mean, you got big names coming out now doing their own UFO podcast. Lady Gaga starting one. Paul Giamatti. You name it, they're coming out of the woodwork.
Because of their name, their channels will blow up. And what they're going to say is nothing. And the channels that do the work and the research and know will get like that.
What's going to happen is they're going to watch our channels. Okay. They're going to hear the things we say.
They're going to spit it back out.
Regurgitate it on their channels. Mark my words. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Because like Ron said, we do all the backbreaking work. And because they're celebrities, they get the numbers. And it's not fair.
And I know when I do my breaking news stuff, I try to put some fun in it, but the videos are real videos.
Yeah.
But I always make sure at the end of the video, I always say, it's up to you what you want to believe. I never try to force anything, any beliefs onto anybody. The footage is what you see is up to you. But God, guys, just
and Eric and Ron, Senator Gillibrand was on fire yesterday, man. She was the star of the show. I'm so happy to see a member of the House so interested in unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs. I mean, she's really fired up about this.
Isn't that cool? Wasn't it nice? I mean, seriously, I'm not making sexist thing out of this, but it was all women that asked him questions. I'm like, that's
her right. That's her right there,
involved.
Man. That's what I'm saying. There was all women there yesterday. She was all fired up about what was going on.
Play a little bit more. Play a little bit more.
Okay.
Some raw numbers of how many UAPs you've analyzed, how many have been resolved and sort of in what buckets, and then how many are still left to be resolved. Just an update from your January public report where it was 366 or something, and about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones. You know, just give us an update if you have one.
Sure. So as of this week,
hold on
we are tracking over total.
She just slipped up right there. Did you hear what she said, Ron and Eric? She said about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones. So out of 650 sightings, she just said right there, about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones. So does that mean that the other couple hundred of them were bona fide unidentified flying objects? Let me rewind and play that again.
Ron.
Sorry. Thank you. It's 175. Then there's basically 174 that are identified.
Right. But
right.
I don't think anybody caught that.
I didn't even hear that just now.
Yeah.
Either.
I'm rewinding. Let me go back a little bit and let me.
This is fun.
Too far. I'm sorry.
Okay.
January public report where it was 366 or something, and about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones. You know, just give us an update if you have one.
See what she said? About 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones.
Now, here's a question by Nick Red Star. You think the intelligence agency would tell Krongers not to bring this up? Like you could bring this up, but you can't bring this part up. You think that's being done too?
What I think that they're not bringing up are the actual craft that are bona fide, unidentified flying object. They're not going to show you the images. They're not going to show you their flight patterns. They're not going to show you how they operate. They're not going to show you any of that.
They don't even show you the shapes.
That's all classified right now. So that's what they're hiding from us.
And then,
you guys, for the second time, heard her distinctly say about 150 were balloons and about 24 were drones. So
and then flip side.
That leaves on the table, the rest could be UFOs, like bona fide.
He wrote, what about the Navy soldiers that were interviewed who saw the UFO triangles above the aircraft carrier and said they weren't drones and they were a triangle shape?
Again, flip side fishing. That is what Jeremy Corbell told everyone that they said.
Where's the pilots that said that?
Right. There was no footage of no Navy sailors on the record talking about what they seen, because they would be kicked out. They would be arrested for that, because that's all confidential and classified information.
And this guy's allowed to just keep spitting this out. And that's what the FOIA was about. while everybody was trying to find out, oh, was it a real UFO? I want to find out, why wasn't he investigated? Like if this is actually from a ship, you guys are confirming that was filmed by Navy personnel. They confirmed it. Susan Goff, I got the emails from her. And they did that with Black Phone. They did it publicly. They confirmed the Snoopy team filmed that.
Right.
So you're saying that's a legitimate leak to a citizen, and he's able to just keep spitting this out like that, and nothing happens. But anybody else, if you did that, if I did that, anything, we'd be in jail. That guy, I keep saying, the submarine, the sailor, that he took a selfie, sent to his girlfriend at the sub, did 6 months in jail for that.
That's right.
Military trial. He got 6 months for that. This guy's out there doing this, and it's legitimate. Like, that's, it's a joke.
And what about the 21-year-old kid, the airman that leaked top secret information last week? They arrested him for 21 years old. They arrested him for leaking top secret military information. But then you got guys like Corbell, Corey Good, and the rest of the crew there. Why aren't they getting arrested if they're allegedly leaking to you the Intergalactic Federation, and that's all top secret military government black budget stuff? If that was any truth to that, Corey Good would be in jail just like that 21-year-old sailor, that 21-year-old airman is in jail right now. Okay?
But that's what I'm saying. Corbell, like, at least, like, Good is a nut. All right, like that.
Yeah.
This guy Corbell is a failed whatever the hell he is multiple times, but that was actually real footage. And he went on and lied also about that. The government, the Department of Defense, confirmed it about the offer.
They did not.
They confirmed. I'm looking for the email from Susan Goff now, if I can find it. They confirmed only that, yes, we physically filmed those videos. Yes. Other than that, we don't have no comment.
Here's what I'm talking about. This is the 21-year-old airman. Okay, he leaked secrets. He got arrested. The U.S. arrest suspects behind leak of the Pentagon documents. 21-year-old airman with top secret clearance. He was an IT guy for the Air Force. But then Corey Good, he leaks top secret black budget information, and he's still walking the earth, a free man. That would never happen. That's how you know that these people are scam artists in our community. And that goes for Corbell, Elizondo, the whole lot of them, because they would all get arrested if the stuff they were leaking was real.
Do you mind if I bring this up real quick?
Of course not. Bring it up.
All right. Give me a second. I just want to show it. I just want to make sure that I don't want to just put the emails out there.
This is the goods right here.
Okay. Anyway, look, I'm going to put this on our Word thing because I don't know how to blur out the certain emails that I'm supposed to. But give me a second. I'm just going to copy and paste her response. This is what Susan Goff said.
The video is priceless that you got that shows the Snoopy team actually, the actual video of that.
Can I? Oh, yeah. Oh, look. Yeah. Right now, let me make this bigger. This is what Susan Goff replied to me. She said, and I'll tell you what I said to this. Give me a second. Hold on. I said, I was planning on filing a FOIA, but thought I would ask you first. I already understand your position with regards to the UAP videos I inquired about. The question I ask now is about whatever was in those videos, but the leaking of the videos. That's what I was asking about when I was going to do the FOIA. And then she says, first, the only thing we have confirmed about those videos is that they were taken by Navy personnel. That's it. Nothing else. We have no comment on claims made by Mr. Corbell or Mr. Knapp regarding those videos. Regarding any investigation into the leaks, as the videos were taken by Navy personnel, I refer you to the Department of Navy of whether and that's what I did. I filed because I told her I want to do a FOIA, but I want to ask you first. Maybe she could prevent me from going through all that. Mm-hmm. And I still did. And I would have showed the original email. It's just that I don't want to start blurring out things and all that stuff. Because certain things I have to blur out on it.
Well, that's cool. You got a response.
Justin, I don't follow what you're saying. That's what she said. I don't follow Navy sales. What's the point you're trying to make? Because I'm not following you.
Maybe he's saying that she's just saying that to keep you off guard.
Who?
Maybe like I don't know because
No, that was a public.
Aren't they sailor in the Navy bullshit artists? Is that what? That's what she said.
I don't know.
Well, that wasn't just the statement that it wasn't only to me. That was a response, a public statement they put out about those leaked videos. And then I asked, because he leaked 4 videos, and the 4th one was the one she sent me an off the record thing. But I told you, although I can't say what she said, it was nothing that it was like oh, wow, I got some inside information. I just got the reason why they didn't comment on it, because it was so stupid.
And Ron, right here, Flipside Fishing said, I asked myself the same question. How is it David Fravor and the other pilots haven't been arrested for talking about the video? Because they never released the Tic Tac video. You only heard the story that Corbell put out there. He made them all come out and tell their stories. There was no official footage for the stories. You heard them saying that, these Tic Tacs were falling out of the sky, doom, 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 and hit the ocean and then going back up 20,000 feet.
Yeah, they said at first it was from 80,000 to 10 feet over the water.
Yeah.
And then it was where the command is all the way over apart. And I don't know about that.
Well, I'm sure behind the scenes, their commander probably whipped them a new asshole behind the scenes, not to the public, for even talking about something.
Listen, it's not hard today to get somebody that's fresh out the military. They're no longer in. They're looking for a little side gig. You get a guy like Corbell and George Knapp that come around and say, hey, look, we're going to make a documentary. Whatever it makes, we'll throw you 5% for it. But you're a pilot. We need you to say that X, Y, and Z happened in this documentary. What do you think? They're not going to jump all over that for 5% of the overall profits that they made on the documentary?
And that's why they used Corbell as a tool, because they know he's going to run with it no matter what. Even when they had the first hearing and they talked about pyramids, even when they said his name, he came out right after that and said they're lying, that was this and that. But it doesn't matter, because then when we found out about all these balloons and everything, that's where it makes you go, maybe they have these Corbells out there for that reason. They just that's why maybe he didn't get arrested or investigated for leaking those videos. They want them out there.
Yeah, they want them.
They want to spin our wheels so that everything we look at, we go, oh, look, little green men, like that. Meanwhile, it could be surveillance ops or something.
And I'll put it to you like this. If you attach George Knapp himself to me, Ron, or Eric, I guarantee you that our YouTube channels would be in the hundreds of thousands too.
Oh, it's just insane.
Give us the same connections that Corbell's getting. Our channels would explode. Our footage would explode. They could take any piece of footage. They could take Ron's TR3B piece of footage that he filmed, and that could be a whistleblower video that they filmed off a military ship, and you would be none the wiser to it.
All you got to do is put his Instagram handle on the bottom, and that's it.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah. And majority of pilots will not give out any major information because they will lose their pensions. They will get a dishonorable discharge. When you're a pilot, you're an officer. You have a lot, to sacrifice if you're really going to give out certain information. Now that kid got arrested. Remember, he's National Guard. He's considered a weekend warrior. He wasn't a full-time military guy. But if that kid was a pilot, or that kid was an officer about 20 years, no. You think he would do that? No, because you'll lose everything. I mean,
I didn't even look into that story. Yeah,
he's National Guard, so he's a weekend warrior. Nothing wrong with that. I have respect for anybody joining any part of the military, but he wasn't that full time where even when he retires from it, you don't get the full exact benefit package as an enlisted man or an officer. And that's a lot to give up if you're going to give out information, or otherwise you don't live in Russia like Snowden.
Yeah. And funny that every one of these pilots that had a UFO sighting are famous today. Every one of them. Even the woman that had a sighting.
Aren't most of them, when they gave it, I'm not sure, but aren't a lot of them already retired? They're already out where
They're
to a point
retired,
where
they're
they don't
out.
care. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt them no more because they're
Exactly.
already out. They already got their benefits.
That's the point I'm trying
And
to make.
Fravor was a UFO hoaxer. He liked playing pranks to hoax. Like,
Ain't it funny that they're all out of the military now and they could say whatever they want? Because if they
They've
would have
been
said
out for
that when
quite a
they were
while.
in the, yeah, I mean, if they would have said that then, they would have been in jail. You know, there's no proof for anything that these guys are saying. And when it comes from Corbell and Knapp, it's got to make you scratch your head. Like, how are these two guys getting all this classified information? What the hell makes them so special? And another thing that I went through the other day that you guys are gonna like, I pulled up a picture. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember that picture that was going around of Lou Elizondo in his military uniform?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Weren't we told that Lou Elizondo was an officer in the army?
He said, I think he did some stuff in Afghanistan he was talking
But
about.
they said he was a lieutenant. He was an officer when he was in the army. He went to officer candidate school. He came out an officer. He wasn't an enlisted man. He was an officer. Am I
Okay.
correct? Okay.
I don't remember his whole thing. I wasn't like that following Elizondo too much.
All right. Well, I remember him telling everybody, them telling us that he was an officer in the military. Well, I'm gonna pull this up for you right now, and everybody's gonna see how I'm proving that he's not an officer in the goddamn military, and this needs to be brought up. It went around for quite some time, you know, him saying, "Oh, you know, I was an officer in the United States Army," and yada yada yada. Well, when you take a look at Lou Elizondo's uniform that he's wearing here, well, he's got his national defense ribbons there and everything, but when you look on his shoulder patch, he's got a private's patch on his shoulder, stating that his rank is a private. He would never be in this uniform as a private if he was an officer, because you go right out of college right into OCS, which is Officer Candidate School, and you come out a Lieutenant JG, which is a junior grade lieutenant. So it says Officer Elizondo, question mark. He was a specialist, which is an E4. He's got a good conduct medal there, a National Defense Service Medal ribbon, indicates 3 years of service. Where is his officer's rank? Where is his Miami University degree? It's not listed on either site. He's got
He
no.
was enlisted.
Hold on,
He's
hold on.
enlisted, man.
He's right, which means he's a grunt. He's a regular private. He's got no combat patch there because he said that he was in combat. He's got his foreign service as required, and they want to know, is this stolen valor? Where's his DD 214? And this has been going around. Now, if you were a lieutenant, you would never be in that uniform. You would never have been a private. You would have came right out of college. You would have been a lieutenant. Right out. And if you were in the Navy, you would have came out. You would have been an ensign, which is like a low grade, the lowest grade lieutenant. So how was he an officer?
And what
everybody was an officer.
And he was what? Army.
Army.
And did you look up like the Army's archives, anything, records, anything with him? Is he in
everything? There's nothing there that ever says he was an officer.
When you're an officer, you have this kind of stuff. Second lieutenant.
He would have had in the, is this the Army, Eric?
This is
that's military, so it's probably different ones. Oh wait, the top,
that's Army.
Okay, he would have had fresh out of officer candidate school. He would have had that one solid gold bar as a lieutenant. So he would have came out of college. He would have went to officer candidate school, where they did all their training to become an officer. And he would have got that bar. That's their boot camp for officers. And he would have had a single gold bar. He would have been a lieutenant. But here, as you see on his arm, he has a specialist patch, which is an E4 rank specialist. He's a grunt. He's just a regular enlisted man, like every kid that comes out of high school and joins the Army. Goes to boot camp for a couple of weeks, becomes a soldier. That's what he was. He was no officer.
When you're an enlisted man.
Right, so there's his rank right there.
He's an E.
Right here,
E4.
specialist. Right here, the one that's got the it's
right there,
corporal. It says corporal specialist.
Yeah, right. You see that little green patch there? That upside down triangular patch with the eagle in it?
Yeah.
That's his right there. You could see it right on his shoulder here. That's it, right there.
And
that's
what did he
only
claim he
patch
was?
with that he claimed he was a goddamn lieutenant. He was an officer.
And he wasn't.
He was no officer, and he didn't see any combat either.
But he's lied about so many things.
Look at his chest. Look at his ribbons. He's got. Listen, right here. He's got a good conduct medal on there where it's circled. He's got his National Defense Service medal ribbon there. He's got ribbons that indicate 3 years of service. Where is his officer?
Can you WhatsApp that to me?
Yes.
Because I would like to blow it up. Like share it and just blow it up real quick.
I sure can.
We're gonna wind down. You do gotta go, 'cause I gotta get somewhere. But for one last question, going around the table, is Anthony, what do you need to see from a third UFO conference to be satisfied? What does Anthony need to be satisfied when they do a third conference?
I would want to see a bona fide piece of UFO footage. Bona fide. I want to see the craft in motion. I want it broken down, what it looks like, and I want all the data to go along with it. That it's an actual bona fide off-road, vehicle. That would satisfy me.
What about you, Ron? What would you need to see out of a third conference?
Out of a third,
if they come back for a third UFO conference, what do you need to see to be satisfied? To say that was actually a good one.
I want to see, I want to actually see shapes.
Definitely.
That's what I want to see. I don't want to keep seeing these blurry, quick videos that they say, oh, we're not sure, or a heat signature. I'm like, forget heat signatures. That could be anything like that, especially in the infrared, like Anthony said. That means nothing. I want to just see shapes and the correspondent video, at least, of where that shape is coming from.
And the breakdown of the data that they pulled from it. Yeah.
Yeah, because other than that, even that could be made up. Everything is just words. They could just tell us what they want, and they can lie to Congress on TV in the sake of national security. That's what they could cover it under. Here, I want to just show you. I don't know if this helps you, but just for a split second, I want to show you that Anthony's picture here.
There you go. There's a patch right there on his arm. You could see it even better now. Specialist.
Yep.
Good job. Yeah. I'm not lying, because if he was a lieutenant, he would have butter bars. He would have.
Now, for me, I'll say what I think, and then we'll end the show. I want to thank everybody for coming today. My thing is, okay, so we saw how they're gathering the data. They showed us, they talked about it on what they're doing behind the scenes. Now I want to see all that into work. I want to see all that in the third one. Now, they already explained if they got their funding. I want to see the 650 they have now with all the new data, all the research. I want to see more details. I'm not saying I'm giving them a pass, but we learn now how they're supposedly study these things. They're acceptable, some of it. So now I want to see it. I want to see all come together. It'd be about what? If they do another one in 6 months, over a year, we expect paying, you're paying taxes, you're paying for this. You want to see what you're getting for your buck.
Absolutely.
Which is nothing, because look what they did. Did they talk about any of the balloons that we've never heard about again?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
What about the ones that were shot down? Not just the first one, the big China one, the other ones.
We didn't get
what
any
happened
of
with
it.
Those?
Nothing.
And you know what I'm saying? So
nothing. Because the third balloon they shot down was a science project.
Yeah.
They were trying to save themselves the embarrassment, because they knew if they came to the American public and said that third balloon we shot down,
with a $450,000 missile,
it belonged to a high school science club. They're not going to come tell you that. It's embarrassing.
Beyond that, Ron, you have a show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Are you back tomorrow?
No, I don't think tomorrow. That's. I'm not going to say 100%. If it is, I'll have the thumbnail up tonight. But Saturday at 3 p.m. definitely.
The show last night with Jim was excellent, by the way. The footage.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a trooper, man. That guy fell and got 11 stitches the first day he got there.
Yeah, God bless him, man.
Yeah. And what about your show on Sunday, Anthony?
Sunday we have Daryl Sims coming on, former CIA agent. He took over He took over for the alien implants when Dr. Roger Lear passed away. He's known as the alien hunter. He's world-renowned, famous ufologist, and he'll be with us this Sunday. So
Nice.
hopefully you're available, Ron. Eric, of course, you're both invited. Ron, I'll send you a link because I know you don't have the thing anymore. You don't have StreamYard anymore, so I'll make sure you have access.
No, I'm fighting them. They billed me again for a whole month.
Really?
Yeah, I just found that out this morning. But you know, Lou Elizondo's complaint got dismissed, right?
What complaint?
You remember he filed a complaint against his old boss and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
That photo got thrown out.
Chat. Well, we're going to talk about this behind the scenes. I'm going to let you guys go because I got to get going.
All right, Eric.
Thank you guys for showing up.